So I'm joined by academy player who is breaking into the first team, Rosie Livingstone. Thank you for joining us today, Rosie.
Thanks for having me.
So I'll just ask you a few questions about what it's been like playing for the academy and what it's like breaking into the first team. So I'll just fire in. And my first question for you is, what was your favourite moment at the academy so far?
My favourite moment at academy is probably my season at under 15s. Although we had quite a shaky start, losing 8-1 I think in our first game, we managed to crawl back. I think we finished third or fourth, but no, I think that season showed that the importance of team dynamics, because it was quite a new team to begin with, but as the team started to settle and got to know each other, I think the season really ended well for us.
And what has been your best moment at the first team so far? I know you've been there only a short time, so
Yeah.
have you got a favourite moment so far?
I'd probably say my goal for, I think it was in the last game of the season. I think that game, obviously being the last game of the season, the girls just wanted to end on quite high, so managing to get on the score sheet in quite a big goal game was definitely quite proud, and to finish with celebrating with all of them was very good to kind of settle me into the squad.
Right. Yeah. So how does it feel getting your opportunity in senior football at such an early stage in your career? Obviously, you're only 15, so that's like a really early stage to be starting out in senior football. How does that feel getting such a big opportunity at such an early age, in such an
Yeah.
early stage in your career?
No, I wasn't quite expecting it to happen so quickly. Like, I think I moved to Hibs 3 or 4 years ago, but obviously I always wanted to play for Hibs, then being one of the biggest teams in Scotland whilst I was growing up. So I'd say being there now at such a young age is just a bit surreal, but I feel like I've tried to put in the work to get there, so I'm quite glad to be getting a reward for what I've done so far. But I know I can't just, oh, I've made it now, I'll just back away. But no, I think it's just a bit surreal, really.
Yeah. So what is it like training with the Hibernian Women squad up at the Hibs training centre, and training with players like Joelle and Siobhan Hunter that are obviously big names in the Scottish game? What is that like? Training with these sorts of players and training with the senior squad up at the Hibs training centre.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's enjoyable. Obviously coming up quite young, I was quite shy to begin with, but the girls are also lovely, and experienced players like Siobhan and Joelle and even Rachel Boyle as well. Having them there, I feel like they didn't back away, which is what I quite enjoyed about the first team. Like when I came up, they weren't like, oh Rosie, like all nicey nicey. Like they would put a tackle, and they wouldn't care about how old I was, which I think was good for me, because it allowed me to develop even more. Like last season, I feel like that's probably the biggest season I've ever developed and gotten better, just from training with them and them being to the high quality that they play at.
Yeah. And what was it like having, obviously you've got Ailey Adams there as well, another
Yeah.
player that's come out of the academy. What's it like having Ailey there? Do you feel that's good having a player that's sort of similar age to you, and that has been through what you're going through at this moment as well? Do you feel that helped you sort of
Yeah.
ease into the first team as well?
Yeah, definitely, because I knew Ailey from regional, so having like a familiar face there was really nice and helped me settle down a bit more. And like her, especially going through the same experience, like seeing how well she's doing it, also like quite a similar age, is kind of making me aspire to keep going, and knowing that that could actually possibly happen to me as well.
Yeah. So did you feel there was a difference in training level when you started training with the senior squad, and how does the training regime match up with what you're doing at the academy?
Yeah, I'd definitely say it was different. I remember Andy, my 19s coach, kind of warning me about it, about the difference in quality. But obviously, in my first couple of training sessions, it was very different, so it was quite hard for me to settle in. But after that, I feel like I started playing my game and settled down, but I feel like you have to be on your toes a lot at first team football. But no, I think the nights at the first team train as well fitted in quite well with how I was training with 19s, so I could kind of get that balance between both, which was really good as well.
Yeah, and what was it like, starting out with a new coach? Obviously, you've had Andy at the 19s, now you've started, working with Dean. How did that sort of, compare, and what was it like working with a new coach?
Yeah, well, I actually knew Dean from a boys' club thing I done. It was like an out of club thing, but he was the coach, and I knew he was involved in Hibs when I think I might have been 9ish, but I knew he was involved in Hibs, which also made me push to want to come to Hibs more. But he was always saying to me, "Oh, like I'm happy to come along," and he'd always come to watch games when it was my old club in Hibs. He would always come along and watch, and he was always very supportive. So having him as a first team coach, I felt like made it a lot more easier for me to come in as well, because I knew him like from the past, even though I was still young. It was like a familiar face as well. So no, I think it was good. I definitely think Andy and Dean are, obviously they're different people, but I think the way they coach is slightly different as well. But I think that's because the level of team that they're like coaching is different. So I feel like they have different aspects, which having both of them there now is really good to have.
Oh, that's good, obviously, for you. And
Yeah,
we've touched on it earlier on in the interview, but you came off the bench and scored in the first team 7-0 victory over Forfar Farmington on the last day of the SWPL season. How did
yeah.
that feel, first getting the shout off the bench from Dean, and then obviously coming onto the pitch and scoring a very well-deserved goal?
Yeah, well, no, I was when the amount of goals that were scored, I was not, but kind of getting my hopes up, and then he said go and warm up. So all the girls were like, "Oh, Rosie, this is you coming on, come on, like you're gonna do fine." And then coming on, I came on the right hand side, and I had Rachel Boyle behind me, which I was quite comfortable with because obviously she's quite an experienced player. So I knew that I could communicate with her, like, do you want me to track this runner and this, that, and the next thing. But definitely scoring, as I've already said, I think, was probably one of my proudest moments so far in my career. And now, coming back for pre-season, I feel like a lot more settled within the team. I feel a lot more relaxed, and I can speak to the girls, like, because I feel like now I'm a lot closer with them. So, I think I don't know if it would have been the same if I hadn't scored, but scoring and celebrating with them was just a really massive achievement for me.
So would you say the goal's given you a sort of confidence
Yeah,
booster now that you've sort of made that transition, made that step? The goal sort of really helped you, in your first game. That's really sort of in the first game off the bench. That's sort of giving you
yeah,
that big confidence.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So my next question for you is: what lessons have you learned in the academy as a player at the various different levels that you played for?
Yeah. I'd say a lesson I've learned at academy is probably training how you want to play. I feel like at my old club, it was kind of a bit more of a muck about at training and stuff. But coming to Hibs, I feel like that's probably one of the most mentioned things at training at both 15s and 19s and even first team as well. You want to be training how you want to play in games, so then kind of used to that, used to doing different things. And no, I feel like Andy definitely pushes that on the 19s especially. He's always talking about how much he wants to get out of us in training, and to hopefully put that into a game would be good.
And what's it like being, playing with the under 19s national performance squad? Obviously, you've come in, you're one of the sort of younger players in that squad. How
Yeah,
does it feel to play at that level? Because obviously, that's the highest level we've got at the academy right
yeah,
now. That must be really good to play at that level and get experience at that level, as well as working and
yeah.
playing with the first team.
No, I'm really enjoying the 19s. I think with the 19s has got a really good setup, and they've definitely got a really good team of coaches as well, like pushing on the players. and the environment Andy's created in there is really good, as all the girls are all wanting to develop and all wanting to just get to that next level really. And I feel like it is just a nice group of girls that all get along, and you are starting to see that on the pitch as well with team dynamics and stuff. So no, I think it's really good and I'm really enjoying myself at 19s.
And the next question, this might be a wee bit of a tough one for you, but what are your future goals as a player?
I mean, I'd say I have probably quite a few, but right now it's probably just maybe trying to make in more not appearances, but try and get more opportunities at first team level. Like just now, I think I'm training twice a week with first team, but to actually fully get called up and be a graduate from the academy would be definitely a big achievement for me if I could get there. So no, I'd say that's probably my biggest goal right now.
And something I'd like to sort of tackle at the end of that one is, for other players coming through the academy, what's your advice for getting your chance at first team football, and what's your advice for the work they need to put in?
I'd probably say try not to change the way you play to please people. I'd say obviously people are going to give you like different information and different things that you can change, but I'd say just try and play the football that you've been playing as you've came through the academy and stuff. I definitely say just work hard, like just work hard on and off the pitch, because if you're doing stuff off the pitch, it might not show to begin with, but eventually you're going to see improvements, which is definitely what I'd say helped me probably get into first team. Like my level of fitness last season was probably the fittest I've ever been, just from doing things behind the scenes, and especially people like Neil from the first team kind of helping me. Obviously, the gym in HTC closed, so no, and also Lewis at 19s was helping me just doing lots of different things behind the scenes. So no, I would definitely say just work hard and play the football that you know within yourself.
And my last question for you is, what is it like playing for Hibs at both academy and senior level? That's obviously something that you're very privileged to be doing, that you're sort of at that stage, you're at senior and academy level. So what's that like?
Yeah, no, it's very enjoyable. I think right now that's probably the perfect place I could be, like highest place at the academy at 19s, and then getting opportunities with the senior team. Because as I've already said, they're two like quite different teams. Because at first team it's a lot more intense, so from your body you're getting a lot more, and you can kind of feel yourself improving. But at 19s, the amount of kind of like information you're getting from Andy and the understanding of play at 19s is always trying to get improved, which I feel like is less at first team, because obviously the players are a lot more experienced and kind of already know the information that I'm learning with 19. So no, I think it's a really good balance, and I think this season I'm really looking forward to getting opportunities with both.
Thank you for speaking to us today, Rosie, and all the best in your future career.
Thank you for having me.